I'm going to do one more tutorial on Swishmax. There's some things I forgot to mention, like masks that are important. You can do really cool stuff with. And I was going to do a sample and some other stuff, just go through some, just to do a final pass of things I've forgotten that might be helpful without being too complicated, just basic stuff. Alright, let's open up, remember, not everything you can do. Okay, yeah, there's all different tools on Swishmax that you can use, and some of them are they're just basically shortcuts to things that you can do in a variety of ways. And I do things specific ways for reasons. Sometimes these shortcuts are not a good thing to use. But you can experiment with them as you wish. But I'll go. Make sure to now. I'm going to show you something. I'm going to open Swishmax. I'll press it. It starts off with the selection tool. Now see, up here it'll say properties, scene 1, and it'll label all the different things you can do with scene 1. All the different things related to, now if I click text, it disappears and a new properties tab, a text properties tab comes up. It replaces, see? Properties is contextual to what you have selected on here. Now if I just type in random letters, and I say, okay, let's click that. I'm stuck here. I can't edit the other properties because look, this text tab here, this text icon here is selected. I need to watch now. Watch on the right. If I click this, I can it depends on what you're using. But watch if I go like this, I'll type hello, and I can edit that. But if I go, it will work with this, but it depends on. But if you want to select, if you've got an image or something, it might work differently. Okay, if I go that and then I go, here we go. This is what I've got. Okay, I've drawn an image, drawn another image. Now this image icon here is selected. If I go to text and try to, it's not. Look, I can't edit the text. I have to go to click text or click this. By default, when you want to edit things, select a selection tool because selection tool will default to anything you want to edit. See, if I click the image and that, I can edit contextually anything I'm related to. But if I click text, I can't. If I try and click this, it's going to make another text field, and I have to select it from here. And if I select it from here, it's not going to give. Look, see, if I click the images, it's not going to. I can't see. It's still stuck on text because text is selected. So whenever you want to go to something new, just press the selection tool. It's the same with virtually every editing program. You need to set the selection tool so you can contextually edit all kinds of stuff. Just delete all that. So what else did I? Movie clips you can be used to Okay, movie clips. If I, as I said before, another tutorial, convert to a movie clip, and then I'll just make the movie clip do a move command or looping continuously through thing, twist and loop. Just so what'll happen is that'll be going on by itself, that animation. And if you click the movie clip, it will have. And now I have to, because this is selected. I just made that mistake myself. I forgot to do the selection tool. Selection tool. There we go. It appears. The movie clip properties appear. Now it's by default. It's really annoying. It shouldn't do this. They should be stopped by. I think you might be able to edit this, but I have it set this for a reason. But if I press play, it will stop at playing at the end of the movie clip. Watch. It'll stop. So if you want it to loop, you need to untick that, and it will just keep going. And then you can move it in another movie clip as before. Now movie clips, now on this version of Swishmax I'm using, they're called movie clips. For years and years I used a version, I think it was Swishmax 2, which called them sprites. Now if you know much about graphics and games and old school games and stuff, you'll know the term sprite, which is basically it's just like this, a movie clip where you have different graphics in or content in, and there's some kind of animation or something that goes on, and things that you do outside that timeline, that movie clip or sprite, outside that sprite, say you got buttons, and different buttons on the screen take you to different places on this timeline. Let's just say on frame 30, there's a script that says, okay, let's go to this specific movie clip or sprite, and we'll go to frame 15. We'll go frame 10. No, we'll go frame 13. So let's just say it's there. You click a button and it goes to there. So you can make different peers of different timeline. You can have all kinds of stuff appearing and disappearing. The old school sprites basically had one layer. So this is one layer. I can do 1,000 layers if I want. There's 2 layers. Let's have this. Have dual loop continuous as well. We'll do roller coaster. I need to break these up to make them look better, but it doesn't matter. So there's just some kind of animation, right? We'll do 2 different animations going on in the same sprite or movie clip. We go to frame 13, and that's what it looks like. So we go from there to there. You click a button and you can go to there. Click another button, you can go to there. Click another button, you can go to there. Or any kind of interaction, anything that happens, any trigger for something can trigger going to a specific movie scene at a specific or sprite at a specific time. That's how video games work. If you're playing Super Mario and you press right on the control pad, he'll start running. It'll make a sprite play in a sequence, a simple short sequence of a couple of different images, and they just rotate in a sequence, making it look like he's running. As soon as you touch an enemy, you die, and what happens? A different sprite appears where Mario's facing his screen all upset. See, what you could have is, just say this is Mario walking, it just loop. As soon as you go to like this, and you go onto frame 1. So as soon as it goes to here, it goes straight back to the start and just goes in a sequence, repeats the sequence. So long as you're holding the walk button. Now, what about 21? Well, normally you wouldn't be able to go to frame. There is no 21 frame now, but we can make one, and we can make on frame 21. We'll make one thing appear, one thing disappear, and one thing just stay. So normally, see how sprites work. Normally it will just go like that, and it will just restart and just do the same sequence over and over. Now watch it. It should. See, it'll just repeat the same. Now, this frame 21 isn't actually getting played. It's just going from frame 1 to 20 in a sequence. 1 to 20, 1 to 20, 1 to 20. So on frame 21, look, it looks different. One of them's there in the square's there, and the circle's disappeared. Let's just do a stop command on that so we don't, because if it plays on frame 21, it's going to immediately go straight back to frame 1 and play. So we'll stop on 21. So I can just make let's just make a button over here. We'll just make a button. We'll get this outside of the movie clip, and we'll name the movie clip Mario. On this, we'll event self, because it's not a button. On press movie control, go to and stop frame, and we'll choose the sprite or movie clip Mario frame 21. So what will happen is it'll keep going in a sequence. Now, let's hope I didn't mess this up and embarrass myself. If I click this, oh, it goes to frame 21. It's the same thing as with Mario. It's a collision detection. I haven't done collision detection in Swishmax for ages. There was something that happened from Swishmax 2 to Swishmax 3. They broke a lot of code and made things that were just one line of code require 100 lines of code, complex code. It was done on purpose to break Flash and monetize on it, and then kill Flash. Adobe scumbags. So I never learnt the extent of ActionScript 3. I'm mostly use ActionScript 2 stuff. I only selectively use specific ActionScript 3 things. Don't need to use collision detection anyway. Look at my game. There's no collision detection now. I do the same thing as collision detection. I just do it a different way. And I'll do it in such a way that you can actually export the game in different frame rates, and everything will sync, and it'll work perfectly fine. So there we have a simple pretend that's Mario running, and then a certain event happens, whether you collision detection or you press a button, some kind of trigger, and Mario's dead. That's how sprites work and movie clips work. I got a bit off topic there, but it's an important point to make. So now I was going to actually mention something important. Can be called sprites, effectively time graphics. Fake drop. Okay, I'll do fake drop shadows first because that's the list in the list. Now this is a cool trick. Now, I'll just name my name. I'll make it big so you can see it. Let's go to 200. Okay. Now, make sure that press this. See, it's not going to. Let's go to the center. Anchor it to the center. Selection tool so we can select it, and Control X to cut. Click this to make sure you're in the center and paste. So we're in the dead center of the screen. As you can see, it's in the center anchor point. There's an anchor point there in the center, and we're in position 960 out of 1920 and 540 out of 1080, which is dead center in the screen. Now, let's copy it, paste it. Now, it may not look like it, but there are two there. You can see there's two. Watch this. See, there's two. Control Z to undo. Okay, so we've got one on top, one below. So let's take the one below. And what we'll do, we'll just add one X and one Y. 961. 541. Now, because this is big text, you won't see it very well, but let's have that black on the bottom, and we'll change this color one. So we've got they're a little bit on different what you can see. You might, if you're in high resolution, you'll be able to see they're a little bit off. This is going to be a fake drop shadow. So we'll just change the color of the top one to orange. Now you can see there's a black outline there. Watch. Well, I can make it disappear. See? We just made a drop shadow. All you do is just make the same copy, and you make the one that's underneath, and you can just drag them on top of each other like so. You know, let's do that. See? You can just drag them on top of each other and get them in the right order as you want. But there we go. We've got a drop shadow. Now, if you're using really big text in high resolution, you might not only go one. Let's just go another one. 962. 542. Make the drop shadow bigger. Let's go 5. There we go. We're starting to see it. Normally with smaller text, you don't. You only need to go 1, maybe 2. But if bigger text, you want to make it bigger. So there we go. Look, drop shadow. Now what we can do, we can make a. Let's just do that. We'll just do that. We can remember we can cut and paste to center all this. I'm not going to do centering. I'm just going to make it as it is, and we can left click one, hold shift, left click the rest, right click group as button. All right, export, and we've got a button with a drop shadow. Jeremy Martin. It's a big button. All right, what we do? Let's right click the button, have overstate. I've done some of this before, but I'll just show you. Let's make the overstate. Let's make the overstate. What we'll do, this is how I like to do it. We just take whatever the shape background is, we'll click this to center into it, click it, copy, paste. We'll stick that just over the very top of the overstate. And what we'll do is we'll make it white, and we'll make it, let's say 50% opacity. There we go. So it highlights. It basically highlights. Look, let's test it. It's got an overstate with a highlight. Let's go to full screen. See? You can do the same with the click as well. Overstate is highlighted. So it's so simple to make a button. You can do all kinds of graphics, and you can use textures as graphics as well. You can stick images in the up, down, hit state, and overstate, and everything, and whatever you want to do. Really simple. So that's how you do drop shadows. You do a text, and you copy it, and you just make the bottom one. You change the top one and the bottom color, some kind of contrast of light and dark, depending on your background color. Make some kind of contrast color that works, and it's generally good to have either a white or a black drop shadow. You can do colors, but they don't work so well. But generally, you want to have something really bright against something really dark, or something really dark against something really bright. So that's pretty simple to use. You just do just make the bottom one 1 pixel off. Let's just invert, let's go back. The bottom one, just make it at least 1 pixel off, the 1 pixel to the right and 1 pixel down. You can make it the drop shadow the other way, but generally it looks better if you're to the right and to the down. And just if it's not big enough, the drop shadow is not big enough, you can make it even bigger. Let's go another 10. If you make it too far, it can look. See, it looks like it's sitting on. It's not connected to the ground. It's actually an actual shadow. It's sticking up over the ground. If you take it too far, you make it even further. Let's make it another 10. And it'll be even further off the ground. And you do the same with all kinds of things, and you can make a fake shadow effect. So it looks like it's 3D. So let's delete all that. Start to the next point. Okay, drop shadows. Masks, fireballs, the sample. Now masks is an important thing. So what we'll do is we'll do a square. Let's center the screen. There we go. We'll do a square, and we'll do a circle. We'll change them different color. We'll make the square blue and the circle green. Now we'll right click, group as movie clip. Now movie clips can have what's called masks. Selection tool, just so we can get the properties up. Okay, we've done the stop playing at the end thing already, but what's this? Use bottom object as mask. Well, let's just move that a little bit. Okay, we'll use we'll just do it normally. Now it's just 2 images, one sitting over the top of the other. Nothing special there. But if we select use bottom object as mask, now we have 2 objects here, and the square one is on the bottom. So the square one is what's called a mask. Now what's on the mask, anything in the mask's view, so this rectangle shape here, the color is irrelevant, just so long as it's a fill, it's solid. Anything within this mask can be seen. Anything outside this mask can't be seen. So all this area of the circle you won't be able to see. You'll only see the square part of it. So watch what happens. See? You can do a lot of cool stuff with masks, and I prepared a sample for that. You can swap them around. Look, change the mask. Let's swap them around. Use of object as mask. You can make the mask move. Let's move it all the way over here, and we'll move it all the way over there. Look, actually we'll make that slower so we can see it. Here we go. See? You can move the circle as well. You can move the circle as well and have them all going everywhere, and every now and then the mask overlaps with the object, and you can see the object only where the mask exists. Now you can do that with a lot of graphics and do a lot of cool stuff. Now I'm just going to give you a sample here. There's so much you can do with masks if you're really creative, and if you want to impress me, one way to impress me is to do some really cool stuff with masks and some of the simple scripts that I've given. Like my game.exe, my Matrix shooter game, that's all made with simple stuff. A few masks and some basic, everything that I've taught you, actually my game uses. Okay, so we're going to do the fireball example. Now I've just got a fire test. Now I've just got a few files here that I've done, and before I do this, I'm going to show you something now. I've got fire short, and we're going to use this video clip here. Let's open it with Movie Maker. Now I recommend you get Movie Maker. A little bit difficult to get a copy of it now, but it's very good, and it's very good for what it does. So all we do is we play, and it's just a fire animation, a really good one. Now it goes for 4 seconds. So what if it goes for 2 minutes? Now, if you import that into Flash, it's going to take all bloody day, and it's probably going to crash. The bigger the files you import, and especially with videos, the bigger things are, the more unstable Swishmax will go. So let's say you want to cut it in half or something. That's all. We just say you want to have 1.5 seconds. So let's go to, you see down here the timer. Let's go to 1.5 seconds or close enough, just to make it close enough. There we go, 1.5 seconds. And right click, set endpoint. And there we go, we've cut it. You can split it as well, but let's cut it and let's set endpoint. You can set start point as well. Let's set start point over here. Start point. We made it even smaller. And look, it's only 1.13 seconds. And then we just go this. Actually, on my test video, you won't actually see this menu on the OBS recorder. But I'm going to this file option, save movie. For computer would do. If you want to do a really high, if it's do for high definition, but the for computer settings probably generally the best. We only need that for that. Let's not save that because I've already cut it into a 4-second movie clip. So what we're going to do, we're just going to grab this video and we're going to drag and drop it into Swishmax. And it's going to take a little bit. Now this is important. Don't do external FLV. In fact, FLVs, no one uses them anymore. That's like Google video stuff. Let's go embedded video. Click embedded video on the bottom. Import. Just give it a minute. This will take forever if it was a huge video file. This is very small. It's only 2 megabytes. So here we have a video. So watch, we'll play and it'll play the video. We've imported a video. You can import video, graphics, effects, explosions, anything you want. Now this isn't good for making games and websites or anything because the file size will be huge. This is very good for animations, and there's one way how to do it. It's okay for making GIFs, but if I make a GIF, it's going to be really frame skippy. Even if I turn off the settings for frame skipping, there's only so much a GIF can do. A GIF, and if you have too many frames in GIF, it's going to get huge file size. So it's not good for making GIFs, but there's a way around it. Now this is what I'm doing here. Is we're actually going to do a video. Now you can actually export flashes of video, and in the movie control properties, export settings in AVI, you can set all this stuff. Now this stuff doesn't actually work very well. Some of it's actually broken. Not the good thing to use. There's another way how I do videos. I'm using OBS. I used to use mirrorless action, but my version it broke down on every operating system I had it on at the same time. Probably to do with the key I was using. Nowadays I use OBS. OBS is free. You can't do the same in OBS as you can in mirrorless action. I can't easily take movies of different parts of the screen, which I used to do with my Terran video. I did that. So, but we'll use OBS and we'll use full screen. So what we do, we've got this in here. Let's make a ball. Let's make it like about that. Remember what I said before in other tutorials, you can set the exact width, height, X and Y position. You get everything exactly in place. We don't need the line. It doesn't matter if it's green. We'll right click, group as movie clip. We'll just name it Fireball. Don't need to name it Fireball. So what we got 2 objects. Now what we do, we'll use a bottom object as mask, and we'll make the ball as a mask. So watch what happens. We have a fireball. Pretty cool, eh? Well, let's minimize all that. That selection tool, we'll stick the fireball up here. And on the main timeline, we'll do a move command, and we'll slowly move it there all the way down here. Now if we just check it. Okay, now watch. Now this, if we export this to a GIF, it's going to be very frame skippy and look. It might look okay, but it'll look like a typical ugly GIF. Watch this. Now this is only. Let's change the frame rate. Now I'm not sure which frame rate I'm recording OBS on, but I'm going to do 60 frames per second to make it smooth. If my OBS is set to 30 frames per second, you won't see any difference between 60 and 30. But just to show it, it's going to take longer to export, but it shouldn't take this long. Something's happened. Hopefully it hasn't crashed. There we go, it works. Because I'm recording, it's going a bit glitchy, but now what we'll do, let's make it not 130, let's make it 400. And we'll make the scene background tint, we'll make it fully black, alpha 100. It'll look a bit better now. There we go, we've got a fireball going there. Let's just do some, let's add some graphics to it. Let's make it a little bit better. Now, what can we do it? There's ways we can do this. Let's delete that move command. We'll do something else. Now, this movie clip here, the fireball, this is just the fireball itself with the mask and the fire. Let's convert that into a movie clip. That is a movie clip. All right? There's a fireball that's all self-contained, animating on its own timeline, doing its own thing. We can do other things in different movie clips. Let's just say fireball outside. So we can do another circle. Let's cut it. Let's go to the shape. We'll center it on that. Now we go back to here above. So it's centered in the fireball, the ball itself. And what we'll do, we'll drag that underneath fireball. Let's go back to full view. Hide fireball so we can see the sphere. And let's make it, we'll anchor it, set it to center. Let's make it 500 by 500. It's close enough, 500. Let's make it exactly 500. One as well. And what we'll do, we'll go gradient, circular, and we'll do red, orange. Let's not make it fully. Let's make it just a little tint. Let's go 50% red to 5% orange. And let's make it 10% orange. Just see a little bit of an outline. Okay, you'll have a glow around the outside of the ball. Let's move the whole thing together. We'll move it again. Let's move it over here and there and drag it down there. So we should see a glow. The whole thing will move together. There we go. No, I don't like that glow. Let's make it 0. Okay, let's make that shape orange 0. That'll look better. There we go. We've got a glow. Easy glow to the fireball. Well, let's do the blackness of the fireball looks funny. So let's copy this. Set to the same place. Make another copy. Let's do one on the same glow. We'll do it on top. We have 2 glows. So what we'll do, how big is the, let's do it another way. Let's delete this. We'll do the exact same shape of the fireball in the exact same place in a different timeline. And what we'll do solid, and we'll do orange, not green, orange, whoops, orange, and we'll do 20%. Let's try this. There, the fireball's a little bit glowy. We can do a gradient on that as well, and I think it looks better without that actually. Let's just delete that and just make the outside glow. Let's make it longer. It's moving too fast. Let's make it 1000. This will make it a big video. It's alright. Let's test that. There we go. It looks smoother. It looks better. We've got a moving now. Obviously, you can see the fire resets. So you want to have the fire long enough for the whole animation. There's other things you can do as well, but you can figure that out yourself. This is just a little sample test, not to be perfect. You can change the glow. Doesn't look too good. You can actually make the glow better. In fact, what I'll do, I'll call that glow, so we know what it is. Let's make that to 25, so it's not as big. Okay, there we go. The glow looks better. Well, let's make the whole glow itself bigger. Click anchor, lock. Let's go double the size. Whoops. Let's make it bigger. A little bit better, see? The glow looks a bit better now. Not perfect, but it's better. You can see actually the outline of the glow itself. You just work with the different alpha values of different colors on the gradient, and you can make that go away. You just fiddle with it and get it right. Okay, so how do we make a video of it? Here's what we do. We go insert scene. In that scene, we'll go make a go to and stop, and we'll go in events on self event, which should be on scene self event, on press, key with space. So it will stop, and as soon as we press space, hang on, what have I done? Oh, I didn't, stupid, I didn't define what to do. Let's go to movie control, go to on play, which is scene 1. I've got them in scene order, in whichever order on the left here, the first scene in order. It doesn't matter the name of it. Names don't mean much. And they're only references to when you want to go to specific places. So scene 2 is actually loading before scene 1. So you can rename them as well. Just what you do is to rename things. See, I can rename things. You click on it, and then you click on it again, and it'll. Don't double click on it because you're going to do with a lot of things that you can do. But click on it, wait, then click on it again, and then you can change the name of it. So scene 2 load space. So on space, we go to and play frame 1 of scene 1. And when we press space, it loads it. So I'm already recording. So what we do is we go to view test in player. Control F to go to full screen, big white screen. Let's hide the mouse out of the way because sometimes you can record the mouse. I think I'm recording the mouse actually on this software. So hide it in the bottom right corner, not in the top right, so you can see the corner of it. No, you hide it in the bottom right corner. There'll actually be 1 pixel that the mouse has seen, but you won't notice it. Now, what we do is we record, press space. Record the whole animation. Let's pretend we've recorded the whole animation. Press escape, close it, press stop on your screen recorder. Then you import the video you just recorded in. You open up in Windows Movie Maker, and as I said before about cutting the start and the end of it and shortening it, just drag the meter up until just the right point where the movie begins, and then just set start point, and there we go. You've turned your flash into a very smooth animation. Simple as that. Now you can export it as an AVI, but I recommend doing it this way. The export settings for AVI are a bit messed up. You can get things to work with a lot of tweaking, but it never comes out right, and it's fucked up. Even the compression doesn't work properly. It doesn't work properly. You just do it this way with a screen recorder. Just make your flash into an animation, and then just record it in full screen, and just set a starter scene with a simple script just like that. You can make a button to. You're best doing like something like space, so you can hide your mouse as soon as you start. Should be easy enough to understand. So that's an idea of what you can do with masks. Now you can do all kinds of different layers of different masks, doing all kinds of things all at the same time. You can be really creative and do some amazing things. I could spend all day showing you really cool examples of what you can do with masks. Now masking is a universal concept to a lot of editing programs. So it's important to learn these things. You understand the idea, you'll be able to understand the idea in other programs as well. This is one of the universal tools for video and graphics. And not just video and graphics, other things as well. It affects. So let's delete scene 2. Let's delete all this video stuff and everything. Okay, what's next? Components. Okay, let's get rid of this background tint. We'll make it to 0% again. I prefer to have my stage white, not black. Components. This jigsaw piece puzzle here. Now, what Swishmax has is a whole bunch of things that you can have pre-made for you. Things that you can use. I have to. Whoops. I'm clicking it, and it's actually have to hold it. Okay. Hold it. Let's remove all components from list. Now, here we go. Add component to component tool. Every component you add will be added to a list above this, so you can reuse it. You can just delete them all as well. So let's add component to component tool. You've got all this stuff here. Half of it doesn't even work, and I think probably because it's in ActionScript 2. It's old, but it's not. It's very poorly done. It's just some of the stuff here is really cool. Other things are just shit or don't even work at all. Have a look at it. You can do all kinds of stuff. There's some banners, buttons, checkbox, and radio, controls, lists. Some things work, some things don't. Just try the countdown. So they have different scripts and stuff. Figure it out if you want to have a go at doing some things. Let's have a test of it. Obviously it's not set to work. You'll probably have to set. I don't use any of these components at all. I do my own graphics and my own stuff. But so you just select the tool and you just drag, just like you're making a rectangle or something. So you can do all kinds of. There's other things you can do as well. File, where is it? Samples, advanced, beginner, components, media. In fact, I'll show you. Look, in tutorials, it's got game and game 1. We'll click game. Okay, that does work. All it is, whoops, is you grab the red ball and you hit the blue ball. Doesn't work very well, but you get the idea. And it'll give you everything you need. It'll just build it all for you with some scripts. If you want to learn some action scripts, some stuff that I haven't taught you, use the samples. You can figure it out. So let's go. Let's delete that. Delete that. Let's go to game 1. I'm pretty sure either one of them doesn't work. Look, see, game and game 1, they've just copied the same thing. Look, it's the same thing. So it's just they've clumsily just added just examples of some shit, and they just junked it all in. But some of it's useful, some of it's not. You can if you want to learn some cool stuff that I haven't given you in my files. Have a go and have a look. So what's next? Pencil, pen, motion path, knife, etc. Okay, so what we'll do, in fact, we'll insert new scene. We'll just delete, because it's going to add code to it. We'll just delete the whole scene. We'll just name it. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, let's do a square. Selection tool. We'll move the chair. Right. Okay. Now this tool here is the knife tool. Now watch what we can do with the knife tool. It's like a pencil, right? Let's pretend it's a knife. We'll cut through it. Let's cut it through this way as well. Now we'll selection tool and look what we've done. Hang on, do that again. We've cut it into pieces. Not very useful, but there's some things it's really good for. But you can use it for making jigsaw puzzles actually. But there you have a knife tool. That's the knife tool. You'll probably never need to use it. What is it? Pen, pencil, motion path. I think we'll skip motion path. These ones up here, they're pretty much useless. These are stuff you can do normal anyway. Let's do this, motion path. Okay, motion path, we'll move it here, move it there, move it there, move it there. And it's adding move commands Look, with your export, it's going to move everywhere. It's just a shortcut for making animations. You can just do it this way. You can go, let's delete all that. Delete that. Okay, we'll do it manually. Selection tool. Move it here. Move it here. Move it here. And we've done the same thing, but we've done it with more control over it. A lot more control over it. So that motion path is just shit. So not all the tools have a real use for it. You don't want to use all the tools. So most of them are just shortcuts. So we got pencil. Pencil tool. Look, it's just simple drawing. Let's make it 15 thick. Oh, selection tool, so we don't select that, and now we'll go to 15. Set the line to 15. No, we'll do it to 5. Watch this. It should actually. There we go. Look, we'll do the pencil tool, and we make a footpath. We can change colors. Orange. Now, make sure if you want to make a new one and change color, set the selection tool to first. Otherwise, it'll set the pencil. I mean, as I've said before, you make a shape, and you make the different cubics, and that's the best way to do graphics. Is you use quadratics and cubics and stuff. That's the best way, because you can do a lot of refined graphics that way. Drawing is crap. You'll never need to draw. And to edit these draws, it's going to be a we did this. We've got all these. Look, we've got all these vertices. You're best doing this manually. What you could do is just draw over a picture, clumsily use the pencil and draw over a picture, and then just modify all the vertexes yourself. But I find it's a lot more accurate and better to do it manually and just make a square shape. Let's set that to a straight line, and then we'll do it to two, but we usually set it to 1, and just insert new vertex and just zoom in and do a quadratic here and a cubic there. You can do a lot of fine tuning that way. It's a lot better. So that's the pencil. Okay, what's happened there? I wouldn't delete. Delete. There we go. And pen. This is pretty crap. It's like the motion path tool. You can just set. I mean, you could do as my vertex way. It's a cheap way of doing. Instead of having it just draws straight lines, or you hold it on and you can drag it. But that's shit. You don't want to do that. But it has a use for if you're drawing a picture and you just want to quickly insert different vertexes and then quadratic and cubic it later, and just draw the lines in the exact positions. It can be useful for that, but just it's more of a preference thing, really. I mean, this tool has a lot more use than the pencil. But here's the thing, you can't fill this, not properly anyway. So you can't fill it. But if you do the same thing with a square, all the points are connected to each other in a shape, and they have a fill, and you can put an image in it, and a gradient and a solid color of whatever you choose. You can do that when you do it this way, and this is far more useful. Doing the pen tool is crap. There's some things you could use it for, just for doing outlines. That's about it. So they're pretty much useless anyway. But that's how you use them. Export to HTML, top bar stuff. Okay, export to HTML. Now, let's just make a simple ball animation. Move to done 39. Whoops. Let's fill that a color. Gradient. Let's just a good gradient, and we'll go there. And it should just do a simple. Okay, and we're still at 60 frames per second. So it doesn't matter. All right, what we do is, as we were saying before, we test in player here. Now, there's 3 icons here that are the same. Most of this stuff's useless, and some of this stuff you don't want to touch at all. But this here is the report, the debug. You're not going to find any use for that. It's not going to give you any useful information anyway. So but debug's pretty much useless. Test in player is how you test. That's very important. You test. This is how you test your Flash or animation or whatever. This one here, if you want to make a web page and insert your Flash into a web page, then that's what you want to do. Let's just test the size of it. Okay, good. It's small. So let's go. Let's click test in browser. Now, normally it will default. See, when you test it in browser, it will usually, depending on your settings, it will make a copy. Game 1, it'll make a copy of the web page and the Flash at the same. So the web page and the Flash are in the same domain, the same location. If you move it into a folder, it won't work. So let's click this, and we've got a web page. And if we right click, view page source, it's added all this code for you. Most of this code is useless junk. If you want to take bits out of it and make it still work, you can do that. But you don't need to bother about that much. It's just a little bit of code. But if you want to be really efficient and your really efficiency is important to you, like it is to me, you might want to remove a lot of this junk code and know what to remove. But just if you want to, in a simple way, just upload your Flash into a web page on the internet, instead of using all the object embed code. Can be confusing, especially if you're new to doing HTML and stuff. All you need to do is you got object. Here we go. Object. That's where it starts. To slash object. This is that is the input for your Flash. That's how you embed your Flash. That's all that code there. That's your Flash. The rest of it you don't need. Now watch this. I'll use Dreamweaver. Let's make an HTML page. In fact, we don't need all this. We don't even need this shit code. The HTML basic head, body, title. Fuck it all off. You don't actually need it. So let's just stick that in there. Yeah, sometimes you might need that code for different things, but it should work like this. Watch. Test 5. Let's do it. And it works. Now, the difference is it's not centered in the middle of the screen. If you export in HTML in Swishmax, it will do all that for you. It will set you to the exact size of the exact default size of the Flash itself, and it'll set to the top middle of the screen. So if you want to look, remember what I said before in another tutorial, center, the center command. So watch, simple as we can center it. Tag center at the start and tag /center at the end, and we will center it. Whoops, it's automatically added a bit of code there. There we go, /center. Now if we save it, take that same page, we'll refresh it, F5. It'll work just like the other page. Now, look how much code we've got here. Let's make it a bit more coherent. We'll just move extra spaces. So we've got center, the content, and center ends. In fact, you don't even need this. You don't even technically need that at the moment because there's nothing else there. But by default, it's a good idea to do that. So this is all the code we actually need. We don't even need this. We can remove most of this shit. Most of it. All these parameter names, don't need it. Don't need code base list, class ID, don't need any of that. You only need some of the basics. So we can make it a lot less than that. Now compare that to, open with Dreamweaver. I don't know what's happened there, to all that. So let's make a notepad, and we'll make another notepad, and we'll compare them. Whoops. Make this one over here, make this one over here. So look how much code don't need all that shit. Don't need it. And most of this can be removed too. You just don't need it. All this culture of bloating code unnecessarily with junk, it's ridiculous. In fact, the web page works without any HTML or anything. It default understands it. And it's defaulted like that for a reason. And most people who make web pages and websites, they don't know. They don't realize. They think, oh, you shouldn't do that because it won't work. All right. Well, I say, show me a single browser that is above 1% of all browsers, above 1%, that this doesn't work on. In fact, show me any browser that it doesn't work on. This stuff default works. You don't even need it. You don't need that code. And if you actually ask them what these parameter names and these meta names actually do, they probably won't be able to tell you. And if they do, you ask them, okay, what purpose does that actually serve? Who actually has a use for that? Who is using that? Nobody. It's just junk code that no one uses, no one has a use for. It's just stupidity. But anyway, Swishmax will export that for you. It'll give Dreamweaver will put junk code in there. Swishmax will put junk code in there, unnecessary stuff, but you don't need it. But there's another way you can do it. If you test in browser and it doesn't print out HTML, you can just do this. Look, file, export, HTML and SWF. The SWF is Shockwave Flash. It's the file, the flash file itself. Now you can export as an exe projector. It will run on anyone's computer who can run exes, or you can do SWF, which is the flash file itself. It's a lot less file size than the exe. It doesn't include the flash engine. It's just the flash file itself, or the HTML web page with the SWF embedded. Now these two here, these are, let's just delete one and do the other. Okay, this here is a Shockwave Flash, an .SWF file. Now, if I click it, I can actually run it because it says Macromedia Flash Player 7. I actually have a portable Flash player that runs it, and I open with and set, and then just choose default program, and then find the location of the portable Flash player. Swishmax actually has its own, and that's what this is. You have to actually this will come out as a random file that you won't be able to access unless you actually open it with and set the default program as the Macromedia Flash Player 7. And then you'll be able to open your SWFs. I recommend you do that, just so you can quickly test your SWFs. You don't have to test them in Swish. So another way to file export HTML plus SWF. Game 1. And then we just upload the web page and the SWF in the same location, the same folder, and it'll work. Except for on Google Drive, because Google Drive blocks cross-domain flashes. But you can make a free form and do that, and I'll do a tutorial on free forms later. So that's how you make web pages with Flash in them, the simple way, and that's how you use the specific piece of code for it. So what's next? Whoops, I've deleted. Okay, what's next? Components, pencil, pen, knife. Oh, top bar stuff. Music as background. Okay, top bar stuff. I've explained all these. I haven't explained all of this stuff. Most of it you don't need, but you can have a look. It'll take all day to explain all that stuff. It's not really necessary. I've shown what the most important stuff means. This here, it's important to understand what this transform means. This is an X position. If it's going to go to 50, it's going to go to on the left there. If I go to 250, it's going to go more right. Same up and down, 20, 80, 300, 200. And the width, Now this lock aspect ratio, if you choose one width or one height, it'll default stretch and scale it with the same with the other, so it won't watch. If I go 250, it's going to go fat. Let's reverse that, and if I click at lock aspect and 250, it'll stretch the whole thing. Let's go that again. Lock aspect ratio, let's make it really thin, 50 thin, well 50 high, 250 wide. And why is it going? There we go, yeah. 250, let's make it 250 height and 50 wide. You do it the other way. You do the angle, 45 degrees. The inverted angle for 45 degrees, 80, 130. And as I said before, do 180 times 180 to mirror your image, to reverse mirror it. So let's delete that. Top bar stuff. Okay, I explained some of that stuff. I explained what these things mean, and export to PNG. That's a shortcut for that. I usually just go through here, file, export. It's not like the often export to PNG and stuff anyway, but these are just shortcut PNG, GIF, AVI. You don't need AVI. You'd never, as I said, don't export to movie. You want to record with OBS or something, which you need to set up OBS yourself. That's a pain. So, but these here, export to GIF and PNG. They're handy shortcuts. I don't use them, but they're handy shortcuts. I should delete them. I'm just used to having them there. Export to exe, same thing. You don't usually use these shortcuts anyway, so they should pretty much be out of the way anyway. Export to HTML, just shortcuts to STalk, just shortcuts to all these exports. It's just shortcuts to all that. That's all they are. Now this stuff, import text. Look, this is an import bar. Import sound, import video. You don't need to do that. You just drag and drop. In fact, you can, depending on what the content of your flash, some scripts could not be imported, but you can still import it. So you just can't import all the scripts, but you can just drag and drop anything. Images, look, drones. Oh, I was actually going to do sound effects. I forgot. I was going to do this. I was going to do this sound for the fire animation. It would have been really cool. I forgot to add the sound. Look, you just drag it in. Now, if you drag it in, there's a cool thing about dragging. This is my next point. If you drag it in, it's not the same as when you, say, want to import sound. Let's go on frame 1, sound, play sound. This is how you click that. Then you can import sound. Let's import drones that way. Temp, fire, what is it called? Fire test. Fire test, and we do it that way. We're actually importing it into the library, and we can reuse it. But if you drag and drop it the way I did, you can do something really cool. Now what I'll drag and drop. Let's delete that. We'll just get rid of all this. Delete. What we'll do, we'll get a sound out of my temp sounds temp. Medley, where we go? Let's do commando. Let's drag and drop commando. What this does is it plays in the timeline. It doesn't just play out of the library. It plays in the timeline. So you can actually go to you can go to frame 90 and it will play frame 90. So what we'll do, we'll just make a simple image button on self, go to impress, frame, go to on play, not stop because it'll stop. You can actually make it stop. You can make buttons to stop and play and pause. You can do all that really. All you do to make a pause button, all you do is stop. To make a play button, all you do is play. Simple. And if you want to go to a specific part of the song, go to on play, frame. Let's go 400. Watch this. It's gonna play the commando song. Let's start again and watch. If I click the button, I might need to set root, but if I click the button, it'll skip to frame 400 in the song. No, it didn't. I need to set root, as I said. On self-event press, go to on play. Root. Hopefully this should work. Here we go. There we go. Do all kinds of stuff. It's really easy. Just think of the creations you can do, creative stuff you can do with that. So when you drag and drop, there's two ways to import sound: by drag and drop or making a sound script. Just go to any frame, sound, play sound, and then import, and then just delete the script after you're done. There'd be other ways you do it. That's just how I do it. There are probably other ways you can do it that I don't do. So export top bar stuff. Let's go more top bar stuff. So that's all the insert stuff. If you don't see insert scene, all you do is right click here and insert scene. These are just shortcuts. These are just shortcuts. All this stuff. Now this one is different. You don't want from this to this. You don't want to be messing with this because it will play your. It's still an animation, and we'll make him move to the bottom. Bottom there. Whoops, forgot the selection to. There we go. Okay, so these controls. Now you see the screen flashes and it goes all funny. You click all these things, they do. Preview frame. Using these controls, it can fuck things up and it can crash your Swishmax very easily. Playing it inside of this. You don't want to be touching these play controls. You want to be test in player. If you use these controls, things fuck up and they go haywire. Don't touch them. You can choose, right click this whole thing and just choose which ones you want on there. I just have them on there anyway. I just don't use them. Help topics, not really useful. Redo, undo. This is the shortcuts that you need to always use. Use Control Z and Control Y. You need to learn the keyboard shortcuts for things like undo and redo, because you can't just keep going to click or going to edit, undo and redo. So there's another shortcut there. There's a shortcut there. Whereas you should be using the keyboard shortcut Control Z and Y to undo and redo, and you can just quickly go all kinds of places. Now, I don't know what I've just done there. Let's just insert a new scene. So you undo and redo with the keyboard shortcuts. The main shortcuts, you want to be using keyboard shortcuts. Other stuff you don't want to waste your time memorizing shortcuts for them. You just want to use this menu or whatever. So what else is there? Oh, this is handy. This one's handy. So let's just say, let's draw something. All right. And let's just say, let's copy it. Copy it, tons of it. So just pretend they're all different names and all kinds of stuff. So let's just say you want to take this. Let's just say, we'll name it that. Let's say you want to drag this to say about between, let's go 444, 555. Now you want to drag this in between 444 and 555. So how do you do it? You can take all day. You can go arrange, move, send to back. It'll send to the very back. Or you can say arrange, send to front. So you can send arrange back to the very back or the very front, or bring forward one or bring backward one. So let's bring backward one. Let's bring backward one. This is going to take, if we're going to drag all day, we're doing this, arrange, take back, or we can drag it. But what happens if we drag it? Oh, it's working. You can't get the position right because it scrolls and look, it's moving everywhere. Let's bring it up the top. What we do is we can send to the back, send to the front, or we can send it backwards. Watch, just click this. And we can manually, just with the simple click, and we can find where 444 and 455 are. Here we go. Let's break it up. And now we moved it. There's very limited use for that, but for what it does, it's the only way you can properly do it. It's take you all day to do it otherwise, especially you have a huge flash and anything you do will lag 20 seconds every time you do something. Imagine trying it every 20 seconds every time you move it. Extremely painful. So delete, backspace, paste. This is just basic shortcuts. Cut, copy, paste, delete. I don't use backspace for delete. I use the delete key. Control A, select all, delete. I use the delete key because depending on different programs, backspace can actually go backwards or something. It can do other things. The delete key always deletes. That's what it's for, delete. That's what it means. So don't use backspace. They've used the delete key. It does the same thing. So if I do this and I select it and I press backspace, in this program it works. If I do the same thing and I press the delete key, it works. If I do the same thing, and I press this delete button, it works. You want to use the delete key, the DEL key. It's go to F12 on the top of your keyboard, the far right, go a little bit right and you'll see print screen, scroll lock, pause break, go down a little bit and you'll see insert, delete, home, and page up, page down. Delete's on the bottom left of that. Know that key, that's your delete key. That's how you delete things properly. So what are these? Find, control find can be handy. You've got, let's do this again. We'll go make tons of them. And let's say they're all different names. And we'll name this dude. So control find, control F, same thing. It's just a shortcut for find, so you just use control find. Control F is a universal tool too as well. Many programs use control F to find things, but here's just a shortcut to it, which you don't need. And we'll find dude. There we go. It's selected dude for us. It's found dude. If you want to go find next, if there's another dude, one name with dude in it, we'll go to the next. We'll just click next, 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 and you can search up, down, upways, downways along the layer hierarchy. All these other options pretty much make sense. So the entire document, just search through the scripts, or you can search the layout. Pretty much makes sense. And just save, open, name, new, all same. Look, just right there, they're right next to each other. It's just shortcuts along the bar, but you don't need most of this shit. But the only things now that I haven't, don't worry about this effect. Thing you won't need it. I haven't explained everything. I just explained a lot of the basics and the whole way the whole menu works. So most of this stuff you don't want to use now. Window, this, don't mess with this. It will make different. As you can see, if I write text and I have the selection tool, properties is contextual. See, it's contextual. There are some things that appear and disappear depending on the context of what you're doing. You do the wrong ones here and it'll fuck it all up. If I go export, now I don't need this. This is useless to me. I can go, if I really need to do that stuff, I can go into movie properties and find it all in there and all kinds of things. Now there is one thing you can do. Go to script settings, and you can change colors and default things which you don't want to mess with. Just leave them at their defaults. They're best set at their defaults. This should be check for update, should be automatically checked for update off. It should come default off anyway. Don't click check for updates, but Swishmax company doesn't operate anymore, so it shouldn't be a problem. You don't want to fuck up your accidentally update and get it flagged or something. So I don't need to explain everything on these things. A lot of it you can test and figure out. I've done the snap explanation in another tutorial. Reshape's useless, it just transforms the one you want. So these things that aren't on there, they don't need to be on there. The ones that are ticked are the ones that you need. Most of them, anyway, not all of them. It's best just set it as the defaults, and you got tools here, preferences, same. See, tools preferences is the same thing as settings here, the same thing. Just different shortcuts to different things. This is the play controls. That's what this is here. Don't use them. They'll crush you. Scenes split into smaller scenes for convert. Yes, it's stuff you don't see. All these screens. All these. Sorry. I don't even know if you're actually seeing this menu because in some of the menus don't appear in OBS. They're just all shortcuts that are here, things that you just don't need. You just drag and drop this stuff. So if I import drones too, it's the same as dragging and dropping. There's just different ways to do the same things. Don't mess with the toolbars either. Just leave them the way they are. There should be a set. There we go, default layout. If you fuck it up, I think this is a button that you should press, default layout. It's a default for a reason. And this stuff just pretty much just shortcuts to everything that's already there. Replace, that's handy. You can find dude, and everything that's dude, you can replace it with tree. So everywhere in your, and replace all. Cannot find dude. So what if we do, I'll show you. We'll name it dude. Whoops. And we'll name dude, fish dude. And what we'll do is replace dude, replace it with tree. We'll replace all of them. It didn't replace that dude for some reason. There it did. I have to do it twice. That's strange. But you know, you can replace. It's handy if you're editing 100 lines of code. You have to manually do one by one. You have to replace the, say, frame 100 for frame 101 in 100 different scripts. Then you just find what, or it might be you don't want to overwrite other things that share the same keywords. So let's just say 100. Find 100, replace with that, and just you may replace manually or replace them all. You just start from the top. You just go down or up from your position. Usually press down. It's fine. And entire document, usually the best way to do it. That's pretty much it. That's pretty much a lot of what the user interface is like. This doesn't even work. I never even used it. Was it edit properties, alt and enter? Oh, it does work. It's just going to this properties. Oh, okay. I thought it was going to another menu. That properties. So anyway, that's the basics of that. Not much else I can say about that. I don't want to do tutorials on complex stuff. Otherwise, it would just confuse you. I've given you explanations of where to go to get some samples of complex stuff, such as file samples and using the component tool. Add component and just go. Some of them, it's actually got some animations. It's got graphics and stuff too. Some of them are actually animated. So here we go, butterfly. But some of them don't even work. Here we go. So this component was saved and set as incompatible with this movie. Requires export to SW. Okay, it's okay. It should. There we go. We got a butterfly. Just some shortcuts to pre-made stuff if you want to use them. Some of them are okay. That's useful. And you can make it big. Whoops. Make a big one. It should be a movie. Okay, you can't edit it. Edit in place. No, it's an animation that you can't even edit, so that's a pain. That's not good. So you could make that into your own sprite and do a lot more with it, but it won't let you. So figure out the rest for yourself. If you ask me about stuff, I'll give you an explanation of things. You don't need to know anything more than I've taught anyway. So if you haven't got a copy of Swishmax, find one your own way, or if you know me personally or speak to me a lot, I'll help you get a copy of Swishmax. Don't use Photoshop and all that crap. There's some things you can do in them, but most things you can do in all those programs, you can do in this a lot easier and you can do a lot more, and you have more control over what you do. You can customize things a lot better. Alright, I'm done for now. I'm not sure if I forgot anything. Oh, there was more. Okay, use music as background. I already showed that. Outline description of things. Oh, this is okay. I think I've already done. Click this eye is hide. If you click everything along this arrow, this up, you can hide. This is how you lock them. And this is toggle outline view, which is useless. And if you double click it, you get this. This is useless. You never need this. Don't double click it too fast. So that's hide. That's lock. Now I'm not sure what I meant by outline description of things. This is outline. Oh, that's right. Here's a shortcut to the same thing up here. If I take movie clip, I can move it. You're probably best using this shortcut, but I don't use it. I don't use them anyway. But if you want to quickly move things in a specific order, above and below a layer, just do it like that. Just double click that. You can double click this, same thing. Just multiple shortcuts to the same thing. I'm not sure what I meant by outline description of things here. I think it just meant an overall description of things. Okay, drag and drop other SWFs. I did that in an example of that. You often don't get the scripts won't work. Depends. You can actually import. Let's just say someone does graphics in Flash. You might not be able to get all their scripts. You're going to get some of them, but you won't be able to get all their action script. You won't be able to get all that out of the Flash, but you can take someone else's SWF, and most of them won't be locked. They won't have a password protected. You'll just be able to open them, and you'll be able to see what's inside them. So you can open up. You go into your temporary internet files, find the SWF for their website, and find the SWF, copy it onto your desktop, then just drag it and drop it into Swishmax and see what you find. Sometimes you can find some really strange stuff. In fact, I did this. There was a game, Risk Your Life. It was made by, it was back in the early 2000s, late 90s, early 2000s somewhere, and it was an online game, and it was cool for its time, and it wasn't made by necessarily by professionals, but the people that made it did a decent job of it. It just wasn't a finished game, but a lot of people played it. I played it, and I could say a lot about that game and the company and what happened, but basically their website used a flash, and in that flash it played a song, and it had graphics on it. I actually ripped that SWF and I looked inside it, and it had a song playing at an extremely high file size, unnecessarily, and it had bitmap. I think it had bitmap graphics in a huge format, and it had multiple copies of them unnecessarily overlapping each other. So I think they had what could have been 100 kilobytes was made into like 5 megabytes or something. And this was back in the days of dial-up, and everyone complained that the website would take forever to load, and that was why. And I contacted them. I never got a response from them. I took it apart, I fixed it, and I sent it back to them and said, here's what's wrong with your website. This is why. Someone's messed up the flash, and they haven't compressed anything. And here's how you compress it. And I never heard back from them, and as far as I know, they never fixed it. And from there, they end up they sold the game to some other company, I think a North American company or something, and then they made Risk Your Life 2, and whatever happened from there. Anyway, that's as much. I think that's covering everything. Everything I was going to say in this video. Anyway, I've got so many other tutorials I wanted to do, but that's it. That's it for now. I can't think of the top of my head. I can't think of anything else that's important to cover about Swishmax. Just any questions, ask me yourself. All these tutorial videos will give you more than you'll ever need. Alright, ending the video.